Hello everyone, welcome to the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas has always been my absolute favorite time of year. Although it doesn't really get cold here that often, I still enjoy it because it's a time for family to get together. Let's get into what you'll need to follow along. Of course, you're going to need a pencil, eraser, watercolor paper, watercolor paint, a brush. For watercolor paper, I'm using 100% cotton cold pressed paper, and I am cutting them to postcard size. For paints, I'm using Holbein artist grade watercolor paints. Throughout each video, I will be labeling what paint I'm using at that time. For a paintbrush, I'm just using a small round. This is a number 4. Of course, you'll also need 2 cups of water, 1 for clean and 1 for dirty. Optional is paper tape and a clipboard. Additionally, I will be putting all the outlines on Patreon for download. So if you want to support me, you can go over to my Patreon and sign up as a member. Then you'll get all the outlines at the same time as the video comes out. All right, thank you so much. Let's get into painting. Hi everyone, welcome to day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas painting series. Each day we're going to be painting a Christmas themed painting, and for day 1 we're doing the little gift box. All right, so let's get into the painting. First thing you're going to need to activate your brush. I have 2 pots here, 1 for clear and 1 for dirty. So let's activate it, and I'm going to start with the under painting, the under layer of the shadow side of the box with purple. That way it will just give it kind of an interesting color. When we look at the reference photo, it's not that interesting. It's just a brown paper box. So we're going to give it a little bit of interest by adding an underlayer. So I'm starting by painting a flat wash over the shadow side of the box. There we go. There's a kind of light bit here, so I'm not painting that in. And then we want to get those shadows where the ribbon is hitting the box. So right along here on the left side. And then under here. The shadow. Just doing something like this. And then under here. So I've also changed a bit of the design of the bow. I moved it pointing this way so it looks a bit more interesting, and just need to make a shadow for it right there. Okay, and a tiny bit over here and over here. Now we want to mix a brown that's going to be interesting. So here I have yellow ochre, which is this sort of orangey brown. And I have burnt umber over here. So the burnt umber is too dark and the yellow ochre is too light. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix them together, and it's going to make a more interesting brown. But I don't want it to be too dark just yet. So more yellow ochre and less burnt umber. All right, let's just start by painting the other sides of the box. We're just doing a flat wash over everything. Make sure you don't paint over the ribbon. Grab some more paint. There we go. Now I'm gonna touch this a little bit. Still a little bit wet. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. That's the reason why we haven't painted there just yet, because it's still a little bit wet. So let's paint the shadow on the ground. I'm still using a super watery wash. I just rinse off that brush and with clear water, fading it out, doing a graded wash. There we go. Whoops, that's way too much. Try to get our color back. But yeah, that's way too much. So drop in a bunch of water. Okay, so it will be almost dry. Now I'm gonna paint over this side. So we're using a watery wash over the purple. And you can see it just changes up that shadow a little bit, makes it look a bit more interesting. You can see the purple shining through the brown, and it just makes that box a little bit more interesting to look at. And then since this was still wet, the brown is bleeding out, but that's okay. We want it to be interesting and not boring, and that definitely does not look boring. All right, we're gonna pause for 1 second, let it dry, and then go in and do another layer. All right, everything should be dried to the touch. Now we're going to move on to the next layer. What we're going to do is paint a bit more saturated, darker brown, and try to create some of that like sort of bent packagey feel. So we're gonna start with the darkest part, which is right here. And this is a mix of yellow ochre and burnt umber. Then maybe here we'll just have like some, you know, scratchy bits. What you can do is clean off your brush and then with clear water, just kind of dab around the edges so that it kind of blends into the next layer. We're doing this one. Sometimes there will be too much paint on your brush. You can just kind of get the paint off. we go. And then at the top, we also just kind of want to add some here. And maybe just a little bit around here. Then clean off the brush, use clear water, and just kind of blend it into the layer underneath. That way everything doesn't look so flat. And then we can go in, take that purple, just paint a darker shadow once again. It might bleed into the brown, and that's totally okay. I'm gonna take straight up burnt umber and blend it into there as well. Clean off your brush. Once again, just blend it out to the white of the paper. There we go. And then once again, we're going to let it sit to dry. All right, it's time for our final layer. We're going to activate the red, and we want this to be as saturated as possible. So you don't need to have that much water. And we're just gonna go in and paint all those red parts of the rope. You want to hold your brush really close so that you can control it as much as possible. And I'm painting with really the tip of the brush. So here is the part where, you know, I could move my arm like this, or I could just slowly move the clipboard instead. It makes it a lot easier to go in and paint those difficult angles. All right, it's looking great, but we really want to make that rope pop a bit. It's not really doing that at the moment because we don't really have some of those really dark values. So we're gonna take the burnt umber and mix it with the purple. And we're gonna go in and just make it a little bit darker. And you can paint a little bit over the rope, it's fine. Don't be too precious. We're just going over all of those shadows that we painted before and making them a tiny bit darker. Especially the contact points where the rope meets the box. And then we have a shadow on this side here. It's okay to go over the rope a little bit because you want to make it look like the shadow is on the rope as well. All right, and then one more, this darker shadow down here, just to show this is the ground and this is the box. Clean off your brush, blend that out a bit. All right, it's looking really nice, but one thing that is missing is that kind of contrast, because everything is kind of in the red, purple, brown category. It's all very cool. So what I'm going to do now is that I have a pop of green, which I'm going to be using for some of the background. And I just need to think about, okay, where do I want to put this so it doesn't ruin the whole painting. And I think, you know, maybe somewhere around here would look really nice. Maybe we can add a little bit of water first. Maybe a little bit on this side. So we're adding a bit of clear water. Then what we're gonna do is we're just going to kind of drop it in a bit for some background shapes. All right, let it spread out a bit. Maybe blend it, put it over on this side. Let it kind of do its thing. Maybe we can get some more water, drop it in, just kind of make it look like it's doing its own thing. We probably want to put some more over here. So put some clear water and then just boop. We can pick it up, move it around. There we go. You can blend it a little bit here. You see how adding the green just helps it pop a little bit more. I want to make it a tiny bit darker. Just those two parts. Okay, clean off my brush and blend it a bit. I don't want it to cauliflower like this, so I'm going to smooth it out a bit. We're gonna add a tiny contact shadow down here because it just kind of looks like this one is flying in the air. So put down the table there. All right, now I don't like how it's pooling down here, so I'm just gonna maybe let it drip all the way down. Just move it around a bit. And if I like where the puddles are, then now we can wait for it to dry. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas.